so I'll start off and introduce you, and then we'll get started with the questions. This is Tori Painter, the counselor at the middle school. And just looking at your job description, I'll basically just sum it up here with the job goal, and it says to help students develop skills in the areas of personal, social growth, educational planning, and career development that will contribute to their growth as they mature and be responsible members of society. And I think that really pretty much sums up. And then it lists your specific job duties, and obviously there are a lot listed here, and I know just by working with you, you definitely go over and beyond what is just listed as your job duties. So what we'll do is we'll just start going through the questions here. And the first one is, what are your job responsibilities and daily tasks in reality?
Okay. Middle school level, I know elementary counseling does more of the small group, classroom setting. At our level, we really only do that a few times a year. We do that during when we're choosing electives for the next school year. I do that in the spring when we do our 4-year plans. I meet with all 8th graders and we work on the individual 4-year plans. But on a daily routine of what we do is I do all the scheduling. And so with that comes schedule changes or balancing numbers, that kind of thing on a day-to-day basis. Individually, I will counsel individual students, but that's just basically on a one-to-one basis. I mean, just depending on the needs. We don't really call them in and require students to meet with us, because at this age, if I force that, they will not talk to me. They just shut down. So normally I have to kind of just wait and see if there's a need, try to talk to them, but we don't do it just as request, because meet with the kid once a week for so many weeks. We try not to do that. Also, daily is reviewing grades. Because of that grade situation, that then could affect the schedule, because if their grades are falling behind, we will place them in intervention. So we kind of rearrange whatever schedules we need to there. Also just data in general from standardized tests, state assessments, or just STAR scores, things along that line is also what we use to kind of affect placement, which then falls back into scheduling.
State test. So all of that being said, how does that impact student learning on a daily basis?
Those students that need the intervention, of course, we try to get them in place as quickly as possible. That's kind of the ones on the lower end. But then you have your kids in the middle and on the higher end that you may not place in intervention. However, you do try to do things to impact their learning as far as making them a better student, making their test scores and daily grades go up. That's just basically, in my opinion, the social, emotional growth kinds of things. If you keep that balanced, then that kind of falls into place also.
Which that emotional part of it contributes to if they will be receptive to learning or not.
Exactly.
So.
And a lot of times, we'll get phone calls from teachers that say, hey, so-and-so's having a bad day. Can you meet with them? And we try to intervene that way. And again, middle school's just a tough age to force anything out of a student. They're just not as receptive to talking to the counselor as younger students are.
Okay, and then the next one would be over the course of the school year, but it just kind of continues. I mean,
same thing. The only thing I think over the course of the school year that would take effect is like testing in general. Normally I'm the building test coordinator for the state assessment. We have another counselor, so we kind of divide the testing responsibilities. She'll be test coordinator over some, and then I'm over some of it. But normally I cover the state assessment, which in return, that data from year to year helps drive the next school year into placements, into scheduling. All that kind of carries over from one year to the other.
And then how have you improved or become more focused on what you do in order to improve student learning?
Okay. With any job, I think once you start, you have, I guess, an anticipation of what you want to do.
Right.
But then you get into reality and you do what you have to do. So starting out, I've been here this will be starting my 6th year. So starting out, you kind of do what has to be done, but
Yeah.
as it progresses into things, you realize how important really the data is, how important the placement and scheduling is. You just kind of, I guess, get more focused on the individual stuff that you may not have saw as a big deal at the beginning.
Right.
So definitely getting them in the right placement, whether it be the lower level classes, the pre-AP, or just in the middle. Sometimes it's based on where you put them with the right teacher. Every teacher has different personalities. Students have different personalities, so sometimes it's just the right match there that also can make a difference.
Yeah.
So you just kind of start to see those little things do matter that used to not matter
Right.
as much, or you
Yeah.
might not have thought mattered as much before.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
that's a very good point. Yeah. How often do you said matching the teacher with the student personality wise? How often do you try and do that? I mean, if it's, you know what I mean, like,
Right.
because
Well,
you
our
can't do that
student-
obviously
right.
with all
Well,
of
and
them.
our student body's so big. I mean,
Yeah.
we're next year will be 860, I think, right at it. Yeah, for 2 grades.
Right.
So obviously you can't do that for every student,
Yeah.
but you do have those few students that you're aware of from
Yeah.
year to year that
Mhm.
need a certain type of teacher.
Right.
Some teachers are more nurturing, or some teachers are a lot more strict.
Mm-hmm.
So you try to place at least those students that
Right.
need more assistance with
Yeah.
their right teacher.
And that would probably be recommendations from
Yes.
prior
yes,
years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And then, in your opinion, what or who offers you the most support in being
Okay.
successful in a counseling position?
The first thing I would say is the teachers in general, because with 860 students, I'm the 8th grade counselor, so 400 plus of those are my students.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that I can know their needs on a daily
Right.
basis. So I depend on what the teachers tell me. If a teacher takes the time to call me or email me about a specific student, I try to take it serious
Mhm.
because you see something in the classroom that we haven't
Right.
saw.
Yeah.
You see them every day for 50 something minutes. They're, to us, when the class changes, they're a face in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely teachers on the emotional and social side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just administration here at the school would offer the most support. They allow me to fix my schedule around what I need to do for the
Mhm.
sake of the students.
Mm-hmm.
And then central office, even comes into play with like the testing schedule,
Yeah.
being the testing coordinator. They definitely offer the support there. They get the training from the State Department and pass it on down. In my role, I just have to depend on so many other people in order
Right.
for me to be successful in what I do.
Yeah. And then the most challenging part of your job.
Again, I think a lot of that would be our numbers.
Yeah.
Our numbers are so large, and so with 400 plus students, I don't feel like I get to know my students like I would like to.
Yeah.
But the responsibilities of the job just don't allow that.
Mm-hmm.
Here at the middle school, I think last year we tested about 105, 110 EL students
Mm-hmm.
that are not proficient, in the English language. And then last year's the first year our middle school has ever went over 50% Hispanic. So we finally crossed that line last year, which most of those are not, EL. In
Right.
other words, they're proficient in English,
Mhm.
but because of our diversity in our community, that's what we have here. So it's
Mhm.
hard to meet those needs and not
Right.
understanding the culture, the things that come into play. We also have a handful of Haitian students,
Mm-hmm.
and that number is increasing.
Mm-hmm.
And their culture is so different, it's hard to know how much of their discipline issues or how much of their personality, how much of their
Mhm.
whatever they're bringing in from Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
meeting those needs of those kids that you just don't understand where they came from,
Right.
period. And so
Right.
you have to kind of take that into play.
Yeah.
Just number of students in general, not just the diversity, but just the
Yeah.
fact that there is so many.
Yeah.
You can't seem to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
In an ideal world, I would love to know the name of every one of my students,
Yeah.
know their home life, know their situation. And it's just hard to do that.
Yeah.
You kind of put out the fires as they come up
Mm-hmm.
instead of making it an individual process.
Right. How much professional development
Mhm.
do you get in that kind of?
In my role, not as much as I would want.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the professional development is directed more towards teachers because they're with the students every day.
Right.
Any EL PD that they offer is usually offered to the teachers. And the way we do their schedule is just a handful of teachers that have those students.
Right.
So they'll try to direct it there before they would more in our office because we don't come in contact with them as often as the others.
Yeah.
And it's, the ones that speak zero English, I mean, we have to have a translator to do anything. And our translators will actually make the parent phone calls for us if we need someone to call home, if there is a situation. We just have to get them involved and actually make that contact because we have no way to communicate. That communication's definitely the barrier.
Which,
Yeah.
that's big, that's a big
Yes.
barrier, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was there anything else you think that would be good for me to know, or that pretty much covers?
No, other than just in my role, I do handle the master schedule. So learning how to balance the master schedule, learning how to take it and know in the middle school, sometimes you want to control your schedule,
Yeah.
but a lot of times the middle school level is tied to the elementary school that feeds in and the high school that you're going to be sending them to. In other words, we share campus with the high school. So if they need a coach in a certain position and we have a teaching opening for a teacher, we try to coordinate with them.
Right.
So a lot of times we want to just sit down and say, okay, here's our master, but there's so many things that affect it that's out of our hands. And just understanding as a middle school person, you have to be, compliant to that and
Yeah.
open to whatever is going to happen because there's things that is out of your control. And it's either going to come from up or come from down, and
Right.
you've just got to,
Yeah.
you're in the middle for a
school,
reason.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to meet that
You're pulled in
both
two
ways.
different ways, yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to take the kids in transitional from elementary, get them ready for high school, but still meet the needs of the school,
Right.
in the way that you can.
Yeah. So it's definitely a challenging
Yes.
position.
Mhm.
Well, I think that's all. Thank you
Mhm.
so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.